Okay. The reason why I call it the duh property is because when I look at this triangle, see how I have two triangles? Which side is a shared side because of the way the picture is drawn? So you make the marking. BD equals BD. And then we write it here. Side BD of this triangle equals side BD of this triangle. Now, why might that be helpful? Because we're trying to prove triangles are congruent. So we need to figure out as many angles and sides as we possibly can so that if we get up to 3, we could say side, 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 or side angle side, or something like that. Okay, so look at this one here. Maddie, what is the shared side on these two triangles? QS equals QS. Do you kind of want to be like, duh? But it's true, so we mark it. Always mark it on your pictures. Put a hat on it. QS is congruent to QS. They are a shared side. And what we'll be working on later today is proofs. And so you have to write the statement, and then when it says the reason, you put reflexive property. That's how I know. Go ahead. All right, let's look at this next one. These next two are a little bit more difficult pictures. So we're looking at this triangle PSR, and we're looking at triangle TRQ. I don't see any sides that are perfectly overlapping, but I do see an angle. Yes. Angle R is an angle on PSR, and angle R is an angle on TRQ. So I would say on this one, angle R is congruent to angle R. And when we get to the proofs, you have to tell why. How did you know that? They didn't tell you. How did you know? Well, it's because of the way that the picture is drawn, and it's the reflexive property. It's a shared angle. Okay, look at the last picture. I want you to write down, if you can see, these two triangles. There's a lot of stuff happening. Like there's kind of a triangle here and one here and one here. So the ones that I want you to focus on is this triangle. Excuse me. And this triangle. These are the specific two I want you to focus on. And tell me which side is shared. Shaylee, do you see a shared side that those two triangles have? Yes. It's this bottom one. If you have a hard time seeing these, you might want to get two different colored crayons or colored pencils and trace the triangles, because I can see this is yellow and pink. Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm allergic to something in here today. And then on the proofs, which we'll do later today, you put the marking, and then you go to the reason and you put reflexive property. Any questions on those ones? All right, let's look at the next property, vertical angles property. Elizabeth, what are vertical angles? So I left this picture up here on purpose because I know we're going to be using these for our proofs. So if you've got intersecting lines that make an X, we've got our X's and our O's. So they are opposite each other. Vertical angles are congruent. And then draw yourself like O's and O's. Our X's are congruent and our O's are congruent. Do you need tape, or does that not bother you? Okay. When you see two triangles drawn like this, what do they kind of look like to you? Kennedy, what do these kind of look like to you? Like in real life stuff though, what does it look like? Yeah, have you ever played a game like boop, and the sand comes down? Like specifically, this one looks a lot like an hourglass. These ones are tipped over, but this one looks like an hourglass. What else? Does anyone see something like a real life thing these kind of look like? Yeah. Ooh, like an infinity sign? Yeah. Oh, yeah, a yo-yo, like you do the string around the middle. Okay. A bow tie? Oh, yeah. Specifically, these ones that are kind of tipped to the side look like bow ties. When you see triangles that are drawn like the yo-yo, like the hourglass, like a bow tie, like the infinity symbol, you're going to be using vertical angles theorem. So if you're like, oh, I just don't know which theorem to use, it's going to be vertical angles. Because I've got this angle here, and it's congruent to this angle here. Will you go across all four of them and put that marking in those vertical angles? There's some we don't use. These have nothing to do with the triangle, so we don't need to mark the X's and the O's, just the set that's inside the triangles. Do your arcs. Good. Okay, sometimes the hardest part on these is making the congruent statements. Because I can't just say angle O is congruent to angle O, because there are four angles right there. So I have to name them like Q, O, P, and N, O, M, nom. Julian, can you give me the congruent statement for the second one? Oh, sorry, will you do the ones that are inside the triangles? I think you did those two, right? Will you do the ones that are inside the triangles? It's okay. There we go. So what Julian said is true. I wasn't trying to say his statement wasn't true. But when we're trying to prove that triangles are congruent, we only want to mention, it's only helpful, I guess, to mention the ones in the triangles, because we're trying to get towards side, 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 angle, side, angle. Like right now, we just have a single angle. All right, let's look at the next one. You're set. Will you give me the congruent statements for these vertical angles? V, yes. If you have a hard time with the, I know when you're looking up at the board, it's hard to see what the letters are, but if you have a hard time on your paper, get a crayon, get out colored pencils, like, because when I draw them, like when I do that, your eyes just follow Y, W, X. Sometimes it makes it easier to trace them. Yeah. That's a good question. Does anybody know, does it matter which order these three letters are in? Yes. So these outside ones, it does not matter. The P could go first or the Q. What does matter is your vertex has to be that middle alphabet letter. So if I'm thinking, where's this vertex? It is F. Where's this vertex? It is W. That's the one that really matters. Good question. Okay, Carly, will you give us the congruent, I keep calling on you actually. Hayden, will you give me the congruent statement for this hourglass or this set of triangles? Yes, it is a U.
And R-U-S.
Okay. All right. Any questions on these vertical angles? Name them carefully. These outside angles are also vertical, but they don't matter for our problems. We're just concerned about the ones inside the triangle. Okay. I'm not sure how far along you'll get on the homework, but I'm going to do this first one with you. They kind of match what you were doing yesterday, but we have a few more unknowns. So I'll pass it out to you in just a minute. This is going to be your homework, but let's just do this one together. You did these yesterday, right? Some like this? Shaylee, what does it mean, given? Yes. It is stuff. Sometimes they tell it to you in a sentence, like side BC is congruent to side DC. But on these ones, I've noticed for your homework, they don't say it in words. They just do the markings. So this is kind of starting you out. We're looking at this side BC, and then they're leaving a blank. So I'm looking to see what did they tell me in the picture. And like, again, I don't love these ones that are scaffolded, but if you ever do them by yourself, do all the givens first and then move on. That's my opinion. Okay, so we got AB. Jared, what is congruent to AB? AD. And how did you know that? Yes, if you say to me, it just kind of looks the same, that is not a reason. It has to be either given or reflexive or vertical. It now has to have a specific reason. Because it looks like, and this one was given, the markings were there. Now they're giving us a hint, because after your givens or in the middle of your givens, you're going to use either reflexive property or vertical. So Matthew, if it says reflexive property, and it starts out CA is congruent to, what should I put in that blank? Yes. Do you feel like you want to say, duh? Do you see why I said that now? It seems so obvious. Please, once you have the properties, either one of these, mark it. Because the final step is, most of the time, this is going to be empty. You have to put the reason by yourself. These triangles, oh, I know that these triangles are congruent because I know side, side, side. And yesterday we said that was enough. So triangle ABC, I went past the single, past the double. So ADC. The one thing I will point out, these are the givens. They have the empty thing in the middle. I don't know why that really bugs me. In all your last boxes, all of these, your options are side, 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 angle, angle, or angle, angle, side. So you can get out your notes page from yesterday. It has all of them on the back. Okay, we basically did the first one together. Wait, where did they go?